we have for the last year, the theme of She Talks has been, we've been traveling the country and telling people how to be unstoppable. And it's been really, really fun. Over the last 6 years, I think we've been in 10 or 12 states. Karen, I'm losing track of it. We've been all over. We do this with very little sleep, very little money, but a lot of love. And so I thought a great way to get us started tonight was to give you guys a few tips that I've heard over the last year on how to be unstoppable. And of course, our women tonight are going to give you guys even more tips from their life and their experiences. So the first thing that I have learned is that you always have a choice. Don't let anyone ever tell you that you don't have a choice. You always have a choice. And I heard a great, great story about what choice is. So there was a man and he died and he saw God coming with a suitcase. And God said, "Okay, son, it's time to go." And God said, "So soon? I had so much to do." And God said, "I'm sorry, but you need to go." And the man said, "Well, what's in the suitcase?" "Like my clothes, my money." And God said, "No, I'm sorry, that never belonged to you. You can't take that with you." And he's like, "Oh, well, is it my friends? Are they coming with me?" He said, "No, I'm sorry, they belong to your path here in life, but you can't take them with you." "Well, what about my memories? Are my memories in there?" He said, "No, I'm sorry, those were here when you were alive, but you can't take them with you." "Well, is it my body?" "No, I'm sorry, that belonged to the dust." "Is it my heart, my soul?" "No, that belonged to me." The man was starting to get really frustrated. He said, "Well, what actually belongs to me?" And God said, "Your choices. Every choice you've ever made in your life is what makes your life meaningful." So choice is the first thing in helping you be unstoppable. The second thing is not being afraid to fail. Has anyone failed in here? Anyone? Yeah. If you're not raising your hand, we're going to talk afterwards, okay? So we're all human. And I definitely have failed a lot in many different things I've done. And I think of some different people in our time that weren't afraid to fail. And because they weren't afraid to fail, they changed the world. Henry Ford went bankrupt 5 times and was left penniless before he started the Ford Motor Company. Walt Disney was fired from his first job for lack of creativity and no good ideas. Think about that one for a moment. Love to talk to that guy. You guys all have heard the story of Michael Jordan not making his team, and of course then becoming one of the greatest basketball players ever. And one of my favorites is Sarah Blakely. Many of you ladies probably know her. You may be, who's wearing Spanx? Let's just be real. All right, we got the Spanx on. All the guys are like, "Spanx what?" So Sarah Blakely decided she would take $5,000 and make a better undergarment line. Now, surprisingly, the undergarment world was actually controlled by mostly men. Men were making undergarments. They told her she would never make it. I mean, constantly she was bombarded. You just need to get out of the industry. But she had a passion and she had a will. And I'm sure she failed a lot. But one of my favorite quotes by her is, she said, "Growing up, my dad would ask us every week what we had failed at. And if we didn't have something, he would be disappointed." She said, "I realized that failure was not an outcome to be worried about, and I'm not afraid to fail." And of course, today, Sarah Blakely is a billionaire. So I think that's a really good example. So the last tip I've learned this year is, I'm sure if you think, okay, unstoppable, I need to have grit and courage and be strong, and that's all true. But I actually found something that was really different than what most people preach. And the third tip is that you need to have love. That sounds kind of strange, right? I need love to be unstoppable. I'm like a burly volleyball player. I got no love for you when I gotta smash that ball in your face, okay? But I learned this, and I'm gonna read to you guys today a really interesting letter that was written by one of the most brilliant minds of our time, by Einstein. He wrote a really beautiful letter to his daughter, and I think you'll find it really, really interesting. So Einstein told his daughter, "There is an extremely powerful force that so far science has not found a formal explanation to. It is a force that includes and governs all others and is even behind the phenomenon operating the universe and has not yet been identified by us. This universal force is love. When scientists looked for a unified theory of the universe, they forgot the most powerful, unforeseen force. Love is light that enlightens those who give and receive it. Love is gravity because it makes some people feel attracted to others. Love is power because it multiplies the best we have, and it allows humanity not to be extinguished in their blind selfishness. Love unfolds and reveals. For love we live and die. Love is God, and God is love. This force explains everything and gives meaning to life. This is the variable that we have ignored for far too long. Maybe because we are afraid of love, because it is the only energy in the universe that man has not learned to drive at will. If we want our species to survive, if we are to find meaning in life, if we are to save the world and every sentiment in it, and every sentiment being that inhabits it, love is the one and only answer. It's a pretty powerful letter from one of the most brilliant minds in our time who came up with some of the most brilliant scientific experiments. He realized that we could have all the science in the world, but if we didn't add the love component to it, we weren't going to be unstoppable. And this makes me think about our military, how they have a love for our country, how they're willing to sacrifice their lives for millions of people that they don't know. That's a pretty powerful love. And so when I think about what Einstein said and the type of love we need, I think that is exactly what our military has done for us today. So thank you so much to our military. So, I'm really excited because, as I mentioned, Dr. Karen Walker, not only have we been working together for the last 6 years, but Karen was we were on a basketball team together. We were college roommates. I have stories, talk to me later. So we've known each other for over 23 years because my husband and I just celebrated our 20th anniversary. So we've got to do a lot and grow a lot together. And of course, she is the brilliant mind behind Combat Boots to Heels and many other things. She's an incredibly talented woman. And hold on, I gotta get your title right. She is a decorated United States Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel. And she's also the Dean of our Veteran Program at Synergy Learning Institute. Karen.